save what we don't love. Wild Karnataka sends a message of hope, not just across India, but across the whole world.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a little bit of an odd spot at 3 o'clock, 3:30. It's just when the rise is kicking in. It's been a while since I addressed a tech gathering, though my background is in tech. I started in Amazon when Amazon was 4 people in India. But I had a bit of a shocker when today morning I got a mail saying you have to be in business attire. And I had to really look it up and say what that means. But I think I've made it safe. All right. I'm going to just take a few minutes and share some stories with you all and just take you through a small journey across the planet and hope you enjoy it. I was at this place a few months ago. Does anybody recognize this place? Yeah, I heard Hampi. That's correct. Hampi, this is on the other side of Hampi. What you see are called dolmens, and these are about 5,000 years old. The Vijayanagara Empire that we know is just a few hundred years old. This is 5,000 years old, since it kind of stands still, how they built it long ago. The purpose of this is still yet to be discovered. There's many theories about it. But what I found interesting here is this, paintings on the wall. Now this was one of the first attempts of humanity towards telling a story. And what is the story it's telling us? You know, people are going on a horse or on an elephant or a cow, whatever was the animal that they used to at that time. So that inspired many generations to think about transportation in terms of horses and horse carriages and things like that. But of course, we did not grow up in this generation. I grew up in a bit of a different generation, not of rock paintings, but of this. Do you know what this is? Knight Rider? How many of you are old enough to know Knight Rider? Okay, not bad. So this was the first ever self-driving car that we saw on TV, okay? Now this story inspired, obviously, generations to come. And a few months ago, this is what I saw in San Francisco. This Waymo pulls up, there's nobody sitting inside, and then the door opens, somebody sits, and it almost drives like a human. It kind of kicks off in a bit of a haste, it doesn't drive like a robot. Right? So why am I showing you all this? I'm showing you all this to say something very fundamental to human nature. That the stories we tell today are the blueprints of the world that we're going to build tomorrow. Do you all agree? Right? So the question is, what are the stories we want to tell? Right now, everyone's talking about AI, AGI, and self-driving cars, and robots, and Tesla bots, increasing longevity, all of these things. But somewhere I think we forget a very basic question as to why are we doing all of this? What is the end goal of all of this, right? When I was in college, our end goal was to get into a certain engineering college, right? What is the CET rank and such? But times have moved on, and so when I started asking myself this question, I came across the most powerful story that I know of our times. It's a very special picture. Have any of you seen this before? So this is called Earthrise, okay? And what's interesting is, this was the first picture of Earth taken from a place which was not Earth, which is Moon. And the story goes as such. It says that apparently this was the first time we realized how fragile our planet is, and we started thinking about the environmental movement and environmental consciousness for the first time. Because suddenly we said, what are you saying? We are all on the small little blue marble. And so this story is said to have kicked off the entire environmental revolution and our focus towards environment. So that's how powerful stories can be. So of course, we all started our young days looking at the stars. Light pollution was less. Sometimes there was no television. There were power cuts. So you had to either sit with a candle or go and look up at the stars and wonder about the meaning of all this, the question of life, the universe, and everything else. But soon I realized there are far more interesting stories when we look slightly below at our eye level. This is me in a rainforest, just about 6-7 hours from here. And these rainforests are from the dinosaur era. And one of the questions I get asked most is, why did you quit your tech job, which was paying me very handsomely back in the day, 20 years ago? And I keep joking that I couldn't find parking anywhere in Bangalore, so I had to get out, right? So anyway, the first question I ask when somebody calls me to a speaking engagement is there parking, right? And then half the problems are solved. So I was lucky enough to travel the world. I traveled quite a bit. Anybody can identify where this is? Canada. This is Banff. And people say, how do you take such good pictures? I say nature does most of the work, and you just have to take your phone, and this is a picture taken from a phone. So for any of you who want to take up photography and are thinking about which camera to buy, cell phone is the most powerful because it's always in your pocket, right? Of course, I traveled to Africa. I traveled to the great savannas, the plains. Did all the standard wildlife things that people do. I also went and traveled to a temperate rainforest in Tasmania, which is supposed to be the largest in the southern hemisphere. It's a bit of a joke because every time you go to Australia, they'll say, this is the largest and biggest in southern hemisphere, and you realize there's very few countries in the southern hemisphere. So, and then something interesting happened in my life. I met this gentleman, and he is one of the most amazing people I've encountered. When I met him, he was the 4th time president of this island nation of Kiribati. Have you heard of this island nation of Kiribati? Anybody? Not bad. So if you go and open your Google Maps, you see the date line cut across somewhere, and it goes like this. It's not a straight line. And the reason that is done is all the islands of Kiribati can come under the same time zone. Otherwise, on one island, it will be 1st of January, and the other island will be 2nd of January. So this gentleman was the president of this island country, and it's a really, really spectacular, beautiful country, as you can see. These are the lagoons that you see, and then that's the ocean. But what is irony, and this is the irony, this is the first place on the planet where the sunrise happens, and this is the first country to go underwater due to climate change. And the president used to tell me that we don't have much pollution. We are just 100,000 people spread across in this little Pacific Ocean. But we are facing the brunt of climate change. So I'd like to just play a quick video about this place that I happened to go and witness. I hope you like it.
The science is very clear about climate change. Within the century, our entire nation will be underwater. As in some countries, you have a cyclone, a hurricane. Over time, the land remains there, the water recedes. In our case, it does not. It's a disaster that doesn't go away. Our reality is that we have communities who already have to relocate, left their villages. We have communities which are on the verge of doing the same thing. For us, Climate change is not something that's likely to happen in the future. It is happening, we are facing it.
From the earth, children of the sun. Though we may have forgotten, her song is still sung. No need to steal what she freely gives, and no need to fear when she only knows love.
By her children forgotten. How long till we see she is none but us, and we are none but her, and we will always be one heart.
I've always referred our situation as those countries on the front line, because when we fall, there'll be another front line, and that front line will keep moving back until those countries and those people who believe they will not be affected will eventually be affected, and that is the reality we are facing. The question that we continue to ask ourselves, what is to become of our children? How will they continue to live without that link with the land and the spirits therein? I think as human beings, we are being challenged. Should we do something about it? And I believe, yes, everybody has the responsibility to do it.
So it's a bit of an irony, right, that there are people who are facing the consequences of completely different countries, not even from their country. I happen to travel here with my dear friend Ricky Cage, who's a 3-time Grammy winner, and this film was shown across to world leaders and to bring some emotion into climate change, because climate change we think is so abstract and all of that. So we said, you have to see the people there. I mean, most of them have never stepped out of islands. Anyway, I realized, there's so many stories to be told outside the world, but I said, there are brilliant stories to be told in our own country. And for me, the greatest story in our country is that of coexistence. Take a moment to process this. We are about 1.5 billion people, right? The largest population anywhere on the planet. And we have the highest number of elephants and tigers anywhere in the world. Yes, yes. That's remarkable. It is something that no other country can boast of, what we have today. But then we can't take it for granted, right? We've somehow managed to exist with this wildlife in kind of close harmony for so many years, but we can't disrupt the balance that exists anymore. So we've done something right, but we are doing a lot of things wrong. But for me, the greatest story of coexistence in India, of course, so many stories. But one that is most amazing is from Mumbai. How many of you are from Mumbai? Oh, very few. Okay. Anyway, you'll be surprised to know that Mumbai has the highest density of leopards anywhere in the world. And we're working on a project that's still not released. I would like to show you a small glimpse of it. Can we have that, please? How's that for Mumbai? Right? All right, Bangalore is not far behind. Within 7 hours drive time from Bangalore, you can see elephants, tigers, sloth bears, king cobras, and the highest number of Asiatic elephants and tigers in India again is in Karnataka. So we're very blessed to be in this part of the world, enjoying this great weather and, of course, the company of wildlife. But why am I saying all this? I'm saying all this because the stories that we talk about is going to be the future that we build, right? So we thought about this long and hard, and I thought about what should I do next, right? And when this question came to me, coming from the tech background, something struck me. In India right now, we process more transactions than any other country. We have, you're all building the most amazing pieces of technology in the world sitting in Bangalore. We are launching rockets to space at a fraction of a cost than what every other country is doing. We've vaccinated like 2 billion people. I remember one day we vaccinated 22 million people, which is the entire population of Australia, which they took about 8 to 9 months. And I thought to myself, how can we as a country of the highest number of population of elephants, tigers, rainforests, the Himalayas, not have a nature brand to call of our own? Why are all the other countries making films about India and taking it out, and why are we not making enough content building a brand in India? So this stayed with me for a few years, and then Bangaloreans are extremely irrationally optimistic. Do you agree? Just the fact that we get up and cross Silk Board is optimism right there, right? So I think we just don't give up, right? So we said, why not build the greatest brand for nature sitting in Bangalore, and it's a glimpse of what we're going to work on next.
A land as old as time. And there are still unseen words. Worlds where big animals still roam free. From the roof of the mighty Himalayas to the depths of the Indian Ocean, from the mystic sands of Thar to the monsoon-soaked Western Ghats, from the mythical jungles of the south to finding the root of all life.
So we want to build India's nature universe. Like the Marvels, the DCs, the Disneys of the world, we want to sit here and build India's nature universe because I think that's what we as a country have, which is most precious. Do you all agree? I think the next, people were predicting the next wars are going to be for water. We've already seen that in Bangalore, but I think we're really, really smart people in this country. We can figure out a solution if we put our brain to it, right? So the real question is, what is the kind of future we want? And some of you here are decision makers, policy makers who can shift things. So I leave this question with you, that what can we all do as a responsibility to make sure that we and our children and the next generation have clean air, fresh water, and good quality of food, right? And I think we should solve for those things first. So I'm very hopeful that this part of the world, we are great with coming up with solutions. We can come up with more solutions. And if anybody wants to work with us on building this, my email address is amogh@mudskipper, mudskipper.in. Please write to us. If we can launch rockets to space and build tech here, I'm sure we can build a nature brand. Do you agree? All right. So I want to leave you with this one thought, but where's the Zinnov team? All right, Zinnov team, thank you for calling me here, but I won't let you go scot-free. I'm going to ask the Zinnov team to try and plant at least one sapling for everyone that has been present here. Can I ask you? Will you do it? Okay, I've got a nod. Okay, I've got a nod, so at least one sapling for everyone who's been present, and let's kickstart this movement. Thank you once again.